Hello, welcome back to another video, and today we have the explanation to yesterday's showcase on the 6x6 funnel trapdoor, which is 3 high, and uses a fucking tape at the bottom, or at the sides rather. And I'd probably go so far as to say this is my best door so far. Like, not that it's the most complex, but like it's the most well thought out and well crafted one. So yeah, before we get into the tutorial, I quickly need to mention two things. First off, this tutorial is for 1.15 only, or 1.15 plus. In 1.14 there is okay, so I've talked about this pretty briefly before. I'll keep it short here. So there's a thing called hopper aging, where hoppers just randomly change timing after a while. And in 1.14, I opened this board, like I built this shit, and it instantly basically aged any, like, these need to be sync, and it would always fuck up, right? So it's basically random at that point if your door works. So in 1.15, I have not had this issue happen at all once. So, yeah, this tutorial is only guaranteed to work for 1.15, I'd say. And, yeah, also, this only works, this is directional and locational, but the locational is no problem. We can put updaters in there, so it's not locational, it's just directional. So, if we come to this little thing that I have here. So what we have here, it's barrier blocks, by the way. So we have a dust powering the redstone block, and then a tick later we power the piston which the redstone block is pushed in front. And then if we fire this, you can see that here the two pistons actually pushed, and then here the other ones blocked it from pushing. We need to build this in a direction where this occurs with the pushing. And it will be explained later why that is. So if you look at your input block, which will be right here off center up to, if you look at that input block, right, you need to look either west or north towards the negative coordinates. In the other directions, the back triple will fail. So you want to look either west for minus x or north for minus z. The others will not work. Okay, with that being said, you want a 3D hole, which is 14 by 20, and your door will be dead center. And you're gonna need this bullshit. So, 2 torches, as I said, torches are fucking useless. 48 dust, stack 8 repeaters, stack 24 sticky pistons, 12 pistons, 20 redstone blocks, 36 comparators, 34 droppers, stack 14 hoppers, 6 furnaces, 2 cauldrons with water, up to 2 note blocks for updating the buds. We can't use pistons or anything else because they get budded, so up to 2. It could be that you need none, it could be that you need 1, it could be that you need both. And, yeah, a lever or a T-flip-flop, any toggled input really, right? And then for your frame, you're gonna need a stack and 8, and then you're gonna need 2 stacks, 36 building blocks, and 12 slabs and 2 obsidian. And if you want to color code these, here you go. Input block, input circuit, closing part 1, closing part 2, opening part 1, opening part 2, miscellaneous, side pistons tape. Whatever. And then for these, well, you know what the second chest means, and this is the best one yet. Hooray! You don't need 40 shovels, but this time you're gonna need a whole fuck ton of unstackable items. Okay, so what do we have here? We have 18 stacks and 24 of stackable to 64, and then we have a stack 12 of stackable to 16, and then we have 9, 18, 27, 32 shovels or unstackable items. The reason for this will be obvious very soon. And yeah. So yeah, let's just get into it, right? So make sure again this is facing west or north. And yeah, this is your input block, and we're gonna start with the front side. So we have a triple here, and then a double, and then, or like, we have 2 triples, 2 doubles, and then 4 singles on top of that, like, pretty much all the last, like, doors. So we want to start once again with the orange circuit, and if you watch the explanation video for the 6x6 cave, this will seem super familiar to you. So what we have here is our circuit which one ticks this piston. So we have our redstone block double piston extender right here, and instead of having the 4 tick 3 tick like I had in that version, we actually have a sticky piston right here, which does our double, because there was no room to hard code the green, so we use this red pulse. So if we just fire this, you can see that 1 ticks, and then if we fire that again, it grabs it again. So yeah, that's that's orange done, hooray! Not that hard. Also, you don't have to. Like, this is technically orange or brown, but I just like to keep that yellow because I made it like that when I made it, so that, you know, could be yellow, could be orange, could be brown, doesn't have to be, whatever. Okay, so for the lime, now that we're here, right, we have our double piston extender circuit. Let me fire that again. There we go. So we have our double piston extender circuit here with 2 on ticks going into this block, going into that one. And what this does is our ABBA, and then it will fuck up there. So what we need to do is then place this piston and an updater piston, because this piston down here won't actually update that because it will be kept on by other stuff later, so just place an updater piston, trust me. And then here comes the genius part. We have an item sorter in this bullshit. Or here comes the first genius part. We have an item sorter in this. So take out that shovel from this one. Fill this up with unstackable items. Fill this up with unstackable items like so. You need full and 3, and then you can place this back. The reason you need 3 in here and not 2 is because this will be fired rapidly in succession, and then there could be, if you put only 2 in here, then there will be a time when this is free and it will suck the shovel and everything breaks. So if we fire this again, you can see that because unstackable items give a single strength of 1, it will fire that piston doing the final pulse. But if we fire this one, we get the whole 3, and then the rest also fires. So yeah, that's like the first really smart thing in here, because we have like the item travels up here and then gets sucked out of here, and the shovel can't get sucked. So this is a mini item sorter. And actually that's all of green for this side. So yeah, let's move on to magenta and the first part of brown, I guess. So from your input, you want these. Well, these will go to the right, and this will be a 3 tick to compensate for the delay, to make it symmetrical. This will go into a block, into a piston, into your only cauldrons in this whole thing. And there is no way to get rid of them as far as I can tell, because well, there will be dust going through this piston, so this has to be transparent. But then there's also dust below it, so it can't be a redstone block. Hey, Cube here from the future again. So I wanted to clarify something regarding this can't be a redstone block, because I'm pretty sure someone will comment, why don't you just put this here, since you're using node blocks in the door anyways, just use a node block to bud update. Well, if we make this a redstone block now, then you see that this dust is always connected to this repeater. So if this fires with a signal strength of 1, it will also fire this repeater, which the whole point of this circuit is that we have a way to fire only the piston and then both if we want to. So that's why this can't be a redstone block even if you place a block under it. So yeah, there is really no way around this cauldron, I think. And then you can't have a dropper hopper right here, because then you would have to read this through this block and then it doesn't work out. Oops. Anyways, so yeah, this is your input circuit, basically. You have a 3 tick into a cauldron piston into a comparator. going into these blocks, and from here we're going to read everything else basically. So for magenta, so for the last part, or for the last part of the closing, you have a 3-tick right here, into a block, into 2 4-ticks, into a slab with dust that connects to down there. The slab is so it doesn't bud, and also so it doesn't connect down into orange, but it can still go up, so that's also why we needed a signal strength of 3. And that will go into another 4-tick, into a block, into another 4-tick, into another block. So I'll only 3-tick and then 4 4-ticks, and then if we fire this, you will see that it does everything. It does the closing if you, well yeah, it does the closing. So if we open this, we get to this point. So what now needs to happen is light blue, as in the 6x6 cave, and that is a 3-tick right here and a comparator right there. And that will make sure to grab this redstone block out. And the way we do that is we have a like falling edge thing right here, which kind of loops. So we have a dropper facing that way and a dropper facing into that dropper. And then connect that up with 2 hoppers, like so, and put an item in this one. So should we now lock this hopper on the closing right here and reset this, you will see the closing still works fine, the item gets trapped in here, and if we release this, you will see that this comparator turns on, and then just grabs the redstone block again. And the reason we don't have just an ABBA gate with magenta is because we have no room! And yeah, so if we just, yeah. So we are currently in this position, as you see. And for dark blue, which would usually like push this one out to grab and then do everything, for dark blue, this circuit is actually designed in a way that, like with the timing, that if we just give this a 3-tick, like refire everything with a pulse, you see it does the entire closing. And fun fact, should these 2 hoppers age, then you do this a 2-tick, then you will not have that last pulse after, like it closes and then this pulses again. So you could, so you wouldn't have this pulse right here, you don't have that. So that would actually be beneficial for you, but since you can't control it, there's nothing we can do about it really. So yeah, I will get to this dark blue refire later, basically at the very end, because it's the very last thing that happens, which is also why this side is slower than that one. So yeah, let's just mirror this real quickly. We once again have a 1-tick coming from our item sorter here, which I will just place in the other order. So we have a completely full dropper right here with unstackable items, and then 4 items, and then 3, and then in here is a shovel. And we connect that with this, so 1 1 1 is in fact equal to 3, and that's why this will be symmetrical. What did I... No, I didn't mean to do that. Oops. And that goes into a block, into a dust, into another block. And then from here we have magenta with a 3-tick, a block. This will actually be green. 3-tick, and what is wrong here? Oh, it's the next block over. Yeah, okay. So 4-tick, 4-tick, and then a slab, and then dust, and then more 4-ticks, like so. And that's actually your closing done for both sides. If I would be so smart to actually build the redstone block double, that is. block up, block down, that piston, and then your double with that one, I guess. And that goes into this one, updater piston, and now that's your entire closing. And then for the opening, we just put a temporary slab right here that will be replaced later. That's probably the most messy part, which I need to explain when we get to the sides, and then this with an item trapped in there. So if we open that up now, oh my god, what the fuck is wrong with me right now? Okay then, so I guess I can show you the closing again. If you fire this, make sure the back sticky piston is actually not right here. It could be right here and it doesn't make a difference, but if it's here, the one tick will grab it back to there and then everything will fuck up. So, yeah. There we go, that's the closing, and then for the opening, we're at this point where we just have to refire everything with a 3 tick and then we're done. So, yeah, let's just get to the tape, or let's start with the tape. So, the tape, yes. So I'd recommend blocking these up because they'll be like butt updated a lot, and you will have to reset that a lot if you don't do that. So on the tape side, right, we have our 4 redstone blocks right here, and the reason we have them right there and not right there within the tape, because the tape is happening right here, is because of the double piston extenders. So since we have our double piston extenders here, we would constantly have this extended, so we actually use these redstone blocks to do the final retraction, and that's why they are stored right here. And that's also why there is going to be some really stupid circuit in there which controls the butt updating of this, because as per usual in these, there are also single pistons here. So we have repeaters running into these blocks, 2-tick repeaters to be precise, and that's again important for the butting. So as you can see, these pistons are butted, and we need to control precisely how they get an update. Because if I were to demonstrate it like so, if we just have a butt update right there, right? If we fire this, the double fails. Yay, the double fails, perfect. So on the extension, we need to make sure that these don't actually fire until those are extended, which looks like this. And then we can butt update this, and then start the tape. Whilst on the closing, we actually want this to stay on longer than that stuff. So, yeah. So if we are in this position, we actually want this to be updated simultaneously, because then it does the final pulse. So we have the issue that we want this to be like insta butt updated on the closing, at the very end of the opening, but not at all during the closing or anywhere in between. So what we have here are two updater pistons, which block each other from actually working. And the reason for that is this is basically the updater piston for the stuff down here on the opening. And on the closing, we just block it with this one before anything happens. And then this updater piston won't work. And the way we do that is actually in here. That's why I said this will be replaced later. So we have a dropper. We have 2 droppers right here. So one facing this way over the redstone block, one facing this way over the updater piston, and then you just connect them up in a circle. There's an item in the one under light blue right now, and then make sure to replace this 4-tick and this magenta block. And then there's the dust right here to lock this item again. So this is super stupid, and I lucked out completely that this worked, because this was like the last thing I implemented, like I put in. and this was it was planned to go into this spot from the very beginning, or like from when I started building the tape, but I didn't plan out how exactly, and I got super lucky that it actually works. So we have this right here, and make sure this item is unstackable, so it only gives a single strength of 1, because we only want it to go into there. If I just like demonstrate like so. So yeah, that points currently that points into this block, but if we just redirect that, that doesn't happen. So we want this to be blocked so that when we fire this one, like so, you see the bottom one doesn't update. And then when this item gets removed and this turns off, now, well, either of those will fire. Doesn't matter which one really, so it's not locational here. It's just that well, we definitely block both of here from reacting to dark rays. So here it doesn't matter which one. So yeah, that's quite smart, if I'd say so of myself. And yeah, now to the actual tape. So if we just like reset this properly and block this, because again this will be but updated a lot and you'll be frustrated resetting it 20 million times. So we have a normal piston right here, and then a sticky piston right there next to the redstone block, and then on the other side you also have a sticky piston and a normal piston. The other way, that way. So actually no, I'm retarded. This one is right there, and this one is right here. Sorry, I haven't built it with this already done, because in my like whatever, I planned on explaining it in the other order, but here we are. So place your obsidian right here. I don't think it's necessary, but I never tested without, so yeah. And then of course there are 6 tape blocks, and actually let me remove this for now to show you how the tape works. So the tape will work off of 2 and 1 ticks, and we have a 2 tick going into this one, and then we have a 1 tick going into this one, and then 2 1 ticks going into this one. You might be thinking, why is this 1 tick here? Because well, we need to butt update this shit, and also it sort of butts updates these pistons when the tape starts, and yeah, just place it. For demonstration purposes, we can also have it like this, but yeah. So if we get this stuff extended, like I don't know, like this. So we power this with a single strength of 3. There we go. So that's actually what happens within the door itself. We power this with a single strength of 3. You can see it doesn't reach this part of the tape, it doesn't reach this part of the tape, so it's perfectly like spaced out. And yeah, so the tape is extended now. And if we give this a 2 tick or 1 tick, you can see it actually does the tape. So yeah, 6 ticks to be precise, and that was probably one of the hardest challenges. How the fuck do you come up with a 6 pulse generator? Well, good question. So what I opted to use was break this for now, place a 2 tick right here, place 3 dusts, and then a burnout right there. So I opted to go for a burnout because it's the safest way to generate a ton of pulses, and probably the only way, given how little space we have right here. And yeah, as I said in like the 3x3, I'll keep the burnouts to a minimum if I can't avoid them. So this will generate 5 pulses if we update it. Oh, yeah, of course. If we were smart enough to actually power these first, of course. This would give... you can see 5 pulses, exactly 1 too few, and the way I solved this issue was with a falling edge right here. So we just have a falling edge 1 tick going into there, and that will do the final pulse. You can see it also works with 1 ticks, which is convenient. But now you might be wondering, you might be thinking, if you just look at this gives out 2 pulses. And if you look at this corner in particular, you will see that the first pulse happens exactly when this happens. Like, oh yeah. Yeah, how convenient. Or how planned out, I'd say. So, yeah, that's your entire tape. It doesn't look complicated, but like this, figuring out this double bulb block was hard. And figuring out how to actually, like, if this even was possible, because if you look at how much space we needed for this without the dark blue refire, and how much space this already takes up, right? I wasn't sure if this size would work at the beginning because of how limited we are with this side, but it turned out well in the end, as you can see. So yeah. So let's just place this stuff back, right? We don't actually have this right here, we have something else. So our doubles are here again, with the singles on top, and there are actually 6 singles, and let's quickly finish up dark gray before we move on. So the way you power this one is through this comparator, through this block, and that just gets hard powered by that dust powering this hopper, this dropper. So there we go, and there we go. And then again, I would highly recommend blocking these off, because you will but update them a lot and it gets frustrating. So how the fuck do we fire this? We have a 4 tick coming from the from this brown block, and then a sticky piston with a redstone block. Don't worry, this updater piston will work out perfectly because it's only used on the opening. So it's actually only used on the last part after, like, with the refire. So this piston will always be retracted when that one tries to fire. Everything works out, trust me. So on top of this we have a hopper timer with a shovel, and 3 snowballs. And those 3 snowballs are important for the single strength bullshit. So we have a comparator reading out of that into a dust, into a furnace. So this is your, the furnace has 4 snowballs. So this is an invert, and the invert is, we will get to it, right? So the invert is permanently locking this one with 7 night snowballs in it, I can count. So this is perfectly here to create the 3 single strength we need to get to here and to here without powering any of light gray when we want the stuff to extend, right? And yeah, so this needs to have a single strength of 2 because this will have a single strength of 1, and we can't have this lock itself. And then the tape also will come through here with a 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. And that's why this 3 tick is here. So because this is 2 ticks, this 3 tick will actually never turn off. On, I'd say. Off. On. On, yeah, on red, because it's permanently locked from this side anyways. And stuff happens, trust me, it's some signal strength bullshit, which makes it work. And then to get to the tape, we actually have a comparator right here, which this should be light gray, but as you can see, I made it dark gray when I built this, so I'll make it dark gray here again. And then we have a dust right here. So what we have right here is we compare this, we use this single strength bullshit to not only invert this, but also do something else with a different signal strength back here. So that's why this is a furnace, because this is the only hard powerable container, a solid container which like can be powered through and can also still be read without it interfering. So the reason we have a dust right here is this comparator will give it signal strength from here to this dust. If we just place this, it will read the cover of a furnace, so we need 1 space in here. And then we are going to compare it to another furnace in here with a shovel. So this will turn off when it reaches 2, which is instantly because of the first item being a shovel, and the last item being a shovel. So this will be always like on when this stuff has an item, and then should this have 2 shovels and some snowballs, it will reach 5 or 6 rather. It doesn't matter. We're comparing 4 and then 6, so yeah, 6 basically, whatever. And then this will update our nice break that block. This will push this piston, updating the bud, as you can see. And there we go, that's the entire tape. So if we just fire this now. You can see how these bottom pistons only started pushing once the tape actually started going, because right here you can see that comparator is on. So this piston right here is extended, blocking this updater piston from actually doing the updating it's supposed to do later. And yeah, and then if we turn this off again, you will also see that it goes up to here, and then so we are in this state right now where these didn't pull the blocks because when this shit went off, right? The tape was still like in its final move. That's why this is a 3D. It's all planned out perfectly. Trust me. It's like it's multi-layer, like it's multi-components deep. Why this works, and I don't want to explain this part for 5 minutes, right? Because it gets boring. But this is all like perfectly timed out so that the last rotation of the tape happens when these turn off. So because otherwise these would get pulled back, and then these would push, and then we would have to pulse everything again, and everything is shit. So yeah. Now you may be wondering, how the fuck do you recover from this? Because well, there's a tape right here, right? So this is all again conveniently planned out by a guy with a brain. If we give this our 3 tick, you can see that it also does. So the closing for that shit will also do this shit. And the reason this didn't grab is because it got updated by this stuff. So yeah, that will work out later. If both sides are completely in sync, this won't matter, because this block right here powered well, right there. You can see that powered this one. But also powered this piston. So then when this turns off and then stuff happens right here, this will fuck up again. So that's another thing which was AIDS to deal with, but it works. So yeah, shit, I keep going back to old stuff and explaining, but like there's just so much to every single part of it that I could probably talk about this for 2 hours. But yeah, let's just mirror that on the other side, maybe build it in a different order. If it will probably help understand if there's questions. So we have a normal piston right here in the sticky piston. Again, I don't know if this obsidian is actually I don't know if this obsidian is actually needed, so just place it. And then we have our 4 redstone block pistons and the other tape stuff. Sorry. And yeah, so this goes into the tape, which is what am I looking for? I'm looking for dark gray. Which then buds all of these pistons and then comes back down here with a 1 tick and then another 1 tick. And this is the part which is locational. So shit. If we look at this real quickly, you can see that we have a 1 tick that's going into the piston, and then a 1 tick going into the block. This is the locational part. So if we fire this part, if we fire this right here, you can see that it works. But There we go. So if you happen to run into a location like this, where it just stays on because this repeater turns off before this one, so the but still happens. In here, you're gonna need a note block on top of this. For fuck's sake! Remember when I said block these off, you're gonna update them a bunch and it's gonna piss you off? Yeah, fuck you, double piston extender. So you want to place a note block right on top of that piston. That will indeed fix it, like this. And the reason we can't have this be a piston, for example, is because both this block and this block is being butted, so are butted from these blocks. So yeah. And then if the noise gets annoying, just like place a block on that, and then you're done. So that's to prevent locationality, and yeah. So just do it, right? I know that one of these was locational, but I don't remember which one, so let's just cover it up on both. Although I'm pretty sure it was this one, that's why I'm kind of confused why it worked when we fired the tape without it, but yeah. So anyways, back to here, we have our one of our furnaces. In fact, let's just place them all, right? One is here, one is here, and one is there. This one had 3 items in it, 3 snowballs. This one had 7 snowballs. This one had a shovel, and then, oh yeah, that's all of them, right? Our burner was right here with 2 tick going out, and then a dust, and 4 tick falling edge going into that. So forgot to replace these. This gets, oops. This gets compared to by this, and then there's your updater piston. Actually, yeah, it was a pistons. 4 tick going into your, conveniently, this has to be one over here, my bad. This goes into your hopper clock with, not hopper clock, a hopper timer with 3 snowballs and a, this actually had a 4th one, my bad. That gets read into here, locking, negating, inverting this, inverting that with a specific signal strength. And then that going into there, that should be light gray, but my OCD tells me that I only realized that now, so it's too late to change. And then in here again, we have the, which should be pink, but didn't bother coding one block right here, which are this dropper and this dropper with them circling into each other, and this having the item, and then replace the 4 tick and the magenta block with the dust. Of course, we have our comparator here coming from this one with a block, and then our 2 updater pistons are missing, so one right there and one right there. And this fucked up because I updated the tape, updated the bud twice, so yeah, and then here it's just, if we place these right here, the doubles and 2 ticks up here, and then the other part of the doubles, the singles, the other singles, the 4 blocks, and all the blocks in front of them. And then redirect these. And just because we saw how fucking annoying this is, block, you will not fire on me again, you fools. So, yeah, actually, I should probably, if we just close this now. You can see the sides works, and I fucked up in here. How exactly? 4 tick, 4 tick, 3 tick, 4 tick, 4 tick. Huh. Weird, that shouldn't have happened. But yeah, you can see the tape works, and it's actually faster than over here because I optimized the stuff a bit more. So we took out 2 more items, and then this was also different. But yeah, I made it faster. The reason that it wasn't this fast in the showcase video was because this version, the replay mod only works on 1.14, so the video was done on 1.14 with all the bugs and hopper aging, and it wouldn't work at this speed because it would always like fuck up the side retractions at the end. So yeah, this is faster than it actually was shown in the video. And you can see that those are symmetrical, so we have some sweet hopper aging already. So the thing is, right, the closing shouldn't actually be affected by hopper aging whatsoever, since it's there we go. That was my bad. And yeah, you can see we fucked up the tape because the bottom pistons were in the wrong state when we did so. But yeah. That's 2/3 done. If we refire these with 3 ticks simultaneously, they will be done. They will be doing what they are supposed to do at this point. So I can probably just demonstrate that real quickly. There we go. So yeah, that's 2/3 of, or like 3/4 of the thing done. But now we get to the more difficult part, because once again we have we have 2 triples, 2 doubles, and then 4 singles. And so you can see this is like the entire like space here. So this is like what, 3x12, and uses and doesn't even have the like the repo fire in it, right? How the fuck are we gonna do this if we don't have this space? Well, so let's start off again with orange, and we're gonna use this thing right here to generate our 4 tick for our 1 ticking. So once again block, and then once again this should be orange, but I like to use yellow for some reason. So if we give this a 4 tick, you can once again see that 1 ticks, and if we give this a 4 tick again, you can once again see that happens. So if you remember from earlier, this actually gives out 2 4 ticks. So we are exactly in this very state right now with the 2 things being pushed, and that's why this was important, because we are actually, this is exactly what's happening for our triple right here. We just force it to extend, and that's why this is directional, right? So yeah, that's why the direction is important. Because what's happening next is basically this piston firing, and then, oops, this piston firing, and then this powered later by 1 tick. I needed the double for that. I am so retarded, holy shit. So yeah, there's a double obviously, and then what's happening is basically this, and that does everything because we are on the right location, in the right direction. So yeah, let's just continue. I will get to orange later because we're not done with orange yet. So let's just quickly finish lime. So we want 2 blocks right. Fuck. This is more of your standard double piston extender circuit, and the reason we don't do this fancy item sort or refire of orange but partly is because there is no room to put the thing. Yeah. So that's why that's like your quote-unquote normal double piston extender. There we go, with 0, 2, 4, and it does the thing it's supposed to do. So yeah. And once again we can do magenta, which looks different, which looks similar but different. So we have our input right here. I will get to how the input works later, right? So that goes into a block, 2 tick, and then a 1 tick going into a block. And this will do our entire closing. However, I should probably explain how magenta, like more detail how magenta works and why it works, because I never did that on the 6x6 cave. So yeah, here we go. So when we give this a 4 tick, right? We give this a 4 tick, then we give it another 4 tick because of the clock, right? And then we are in this state, and then we fire the double piston extender. And when we fire the double piston extender, let's just get rid of that, I guess. Actually, let's keep that and just do this. So how does magenta work exactly? We are in when we are in this state, we want this piston to extend, and a tick later we want that piston to power. So on this side, the pistons are here, so it's not locational, but on this side, the pistons are right here, so directional. So it is directional. So we want this piston to fire 1 tick after this piston. And since we power the back piston from here, and then 2 ticks later, the 2 ticks the bottom, like that piston takes to extend, we fire the piston, which is definitely done being pushed, so it is already here, so we fire this piston, and then a tick later we fire that one. The reason this is a 4 tick is because we haven't fired the back piston yet when the signal comes through here. So 2 ticks, and then the back piston fires, and then 1.5 ticks later the piston will be right under the slab. So 4 is bigger than 3.5, so this fires, and then a half tick later this tries to fire, and then stuff is in motion, and everything works out. Here that we need a 4 tick because there are 2 ticks going into the back piston here, and that's like the delay. Meanwhile here we already have the back piston extended, so we can just, that's why this is a 2 tick by the way, and then we can just do a 0 and a 1 just like I did like a couple minutes ago when I was demonstrating it without everything else. So that probably made no sense, but sorry. So that's why if we fire this and this, it works. So on to light blue. Light blue once again being the ABBA gate for this to be grabbed backwards. ABBA gate comes through here and is a block, a 4 tick into this, and then into a slab, and into a 1 tick going into this block. These blocks are, by the way, door blocks, so yeah, make sure they are powerable. And yeah, you can see that this block, this piston gets powered from light blue being powered, which will happen eventually. So if we fire this again with an item probably, we get the full closing, and then we get this actually retracted. And now you might be, we are at the exact same point that we are in this thing where we need the refire, but we don't actually need a refire. We need a refire, but we need a different one. So here we refire everything, and there is no way with this input that we're going to refire everything, right? Also, we don't have anything like to read off of. So if I can just put a picture, like put a clip on the screen right now, you can see that on the 6x6 cave we had this dark blue, we had this hopper dropper mess around the double piston extender, and then a comparator right here going into that block. The same thing works in the 3x3 like in the 3x3 corridor right here, even though there is a block right there in front of it. And once again, this is one of those super like smart, planned out, tick precise bullshit stuffs. So we have 2 droppers facing into each other right here, and a 2 tick and the magenta 2 tick. So both the budding of the back piston, the hard powering of the of this piston, which has a collar dropper, this having the item in it, this will have the item in it, and then both the budding and then the hard powering, and then this redstone block right here is actually what fires that dropper. So it all works out perfectly to do this, and it's insane how I did this. So yeah, if we just fire this again, right? Item in there, and then item out of there, we end up in this state, and then this thing will give us another 4 tick. So 4 tick, grabbing that. And now if we just fire this right here with a 3 tick, or an item passing by rather, you can see how it does everything because of the comparator right here, and it's insane. So if I just slash give cube barrier, if I just replace that with a barrier, and probably this one as well, and then just get rid of this bullshit. If I just reset it to so this position, you can see how that works out perfectly. Only if both sides are in sync again, that's where Hopper aging is a huge problem for this. So yeah. There we go. And yeah. So the smart ones of you will realize, wait, Cube, you only gave this 1 4 tick, but I thought this thing gives out 2 4 ticks. Exactly. That's an issue. So we only want 1 4 tick on the opening. Meanwhile, on closing, because of the directionality, it doesn't matter. So how the fuck do we get this to only do 1 4 tick? Well, we can't do anything here, right? So the only thing we can do is cut this off from actually doing it. And the way we do that is with a drop hopper in this spot, reading this into this piston. So when we turn this on, like so, with 2 4 ticks, and then we turn this on, you can see that this gets pushed down. And then the first thing that's going to happen is this one gives out 1 4 tick, and then this turns off with this one. This one. And then this block gets pulled up, and then the second 4 tick comes through. So we basically block off the first 4 tick, or rather we do it while this stuff is happening, and this is still blocked. So this piston being extended by this is actually still the case due to lime, which is held on by light blue. So yeah, this is all again like precisely timed with all of these hoppers and bullshit. I kind of took the joke on the 4x4 too far, where I was like, oh, the guy who made this had a brain, but this one really, everything is like tick perfect timed, and it's insane. Then also you can see that conveniently all these like blocks, which like all the blocks which aren't repeaters are going to be blocks. So this one is gonna have a block, and this one is gonna have a block, and there's stuff like there is no room to work with here, and I managed to make it work because like. And then you have like this you basically have all of these checkerboard patterns with blocks being in checkerboards, and then stuff being placed on top of those to form a shifted over checkerboard, and this is just like insane how everything fits together perfectly, and like that's probably why I'd say this is my my best door. And yeah, there's so much like stuff under the hood which you wouldn't like see or get, and like... Anyway, so how the fuck do we input to this? Well, keep in mind we need to hard power this one and then pulse this one at the end. So all whilst above a burnout and a falling edge. Sorry for that one. we have so our only real input, right? Our only thing which is connected to the lever right now is this block. And looking at this, there is no way this is going to work, right? Wrong. So my initial plans for this, by the way, was I can show like a funny thing on the screen right now. So my initial plans were like to have the bottom one, which fires the redstone block pistons off the tape, actually be hard powered by like some dots, which happen to be single strings dependent, and then pulsing the tape through that block, and it was fun, and then whatever. So anyways, my first idea was to have a hopper timer right here. Before this was the thing, by the way. So we have the hopper timer right here, and then anyways, all of that didn't really work out, and then I had the idea to have a drop hopper right here, and then that didn't work out, and there's just no way to like do everything in this until I figured out. I figured it out. So here we go. This right here is okay. Let's actually start in this side. So this right here is a dropper tower. This dropper tower has a shovel in here. Shovels just because we need filled stuff, so it's better than having 9 stacks of unstackables, right? So we have a shovel right here. That shovel on the first time this fires will move from here to here, and then the second time this gives a 4 tick, it will go up. And when it goes up, it will go into this hopper facing that way. And now you might be asking, how the fuck does the shovel stay in this hopper when we can't lock it and we can't do anything near it? Well, we have this dropper, which is full. So, since this is full, an item coming through here, are we in the right? No, we aren't. An item coming through here will get stuck in the hopper behind it because it's full. So we are in this position, and then this gets stuck in there doing the entire closing because this is full. So now we only need to power this on the opening. So how do we do that? Well, as I said earlier, there's gonna be a block right here because that's our only spot to place a fucking block. So how do we connect these two? Well, we could do it this way, but we don't want this to be here because this will be here later. So how do we fire this one? We have another dropper right here with another shovel. So this comparator will shoot out. We'll fire this dropper first, and then this dropper, so this needs an extra shovel. So the shovel gets thrown out this way, and then one of them moves into here, and then this one can move into there. So if I just demonstrate it like so, it turns off, as you can see. And so you may be thinking, what the fuck is this? That would fire this one, and every time we fire this one, we would refire, everything would fuck up. No. Comparators can cross-road, like you can cross-road comparators. So this one will be fired from here, this one will be fired from there, and they don't interfere with each other, which is like super nice, because it's the simplest way in like one hive space to cross signals. So you might see where this is going. This thing will fire, well, this shovel getting spit out will actually do the free fire of the light blue circuit, which was missing the this one, otherwise it would have worked. So let me just fix that like so. So we are in this position because orange happened, which I forgot, and then we have the item coming by, and that's everything done. So that's why this doesn't shoot to the left immediately, because we need these 2 hopper delays to actually do the thing, and then, you know. So now the question is, how the fuck do we fire this comparator? This is already here, and this is already the return line of the fucking input. which we need to just hook up back to this dropper tower, by the way. Well, by the way, place an item in here. Don't forget that. This has full, this has one, this has one. How do we do that? Well, if this is the return line, maybe we can also use this return line really quickly to give us this 3 tick, and that's exactly how it works, as you can see. So this hopper bullshit might look complicated, but in reality all it does is it goes from here, all the way, it gets red here, all the way, it gets red here, and then... Hold on, I need to silence the dog.
Where's my shotgun?
Alright, so we're at. So the item goes, so the only reason we have this is we need a way to power this bullshit. So we power this with an item coming from here, which just gets trapped here because this is full. And then it returns the item, gets red here, goes this way, gets red here again, returns this way, and this right here is our only place, right here, this is our only spot to go back down if we don't use entities. Because if we use entities, you see this checkerboard pattern, right? So we always have this bullshit. So there's comparators here, you know, stuff happens. So there's no real way to like have a hopper just like pointed to that unless there's an entity right here. So because I didn't want to use entities, this is my only spot to actually go downwards again, because this will push into here, so this isn't an option. Everything else in this is either air or blocks with comparators, right? Or repeaters. So this right here is my only fucking air block to actually get the item back down, and that's why this is here. So, yeah. So the item will travel all the way, actually, yeah. So the item will get back down here, and then break that block for now, and also break this one. So, because this is actually a dropper facing forward, and then this is also a dropper facing upward, and we can replace this stuff now. And there was a comparator on top of this. Sorry. So there's also an item in this one. So what happens here is this gets turned on, right? This piston will update the bud, right? But this comparator powers both droppers. So this item right here gets stuck in this dropper because the burnout keeps flickering both, but the comparator holds both droppers on. So the item on the closing will move into this dropper. And then on the opening, this releases updating the bud, and then this torch will spit out the item from here. And that will actually be the pulse which opens this part. So this comparator gets the pulse from this dropper, spitting out its item through here and back there. So that's what opens it. Oh, that's what like empties this one, so this one can fill up, right? And then we take this signal all the way to here. So yeah, make sure it does this works like that way, that way, that way, and then those. So yeah, so this looks complicated and like overwhelming, but it's in reality is simple for what it does. And then again, all of these hoppers are just the perfect delay. We can't read this through a block. This has to be a hopper, because we need that one hopper extra timing. And yeah, so then this just returns the items to right here. This can be a dummy container, so just place a chest or a dropper, and then that can go into another hopper. And then we are gonna break everything in this row, except we aren't. We are gonna avoid the burnout, because again, this air block right there is needed. Fuck. Yeah, so much for that. What you saw right there was the item from here actually passing by here, so there should be an item in there, yes. There's also another item in here, conveniently. This is still one, this is still full, and the only thing that moved was this item. So, you can see that this air block is needed, so we will just squiggle behind this piston, so break that, and then we just go into a straight line into our droppers again. So, there we go. And then we just gotta replace everything. So this was a comparator, this was a dust, and here we had 2 1-ticks, like so. And now all of a sudden, if I explain it to you this way, this doesn't look like so much bullshit anymore, right? So we have 1 item in here, 1 item in here full, and then 1 item in here. So again, on the closing, this one will words. This one will put this item into this dropper, which will be held by this comparator being on, so it can't like flicker all the way around. And then this item will, after the first pulse, go into here, after the second pulse will go up into here, and then it will get stuck in this hopper because this is full. And then on the, that will hardpower everything. And then on the opening, this comparator will release this dropper. The flickering will put the item from here up into this hopper, gets read through this that way. Emptying a slot in this dropper, so this can turn off because the item can flow in. Then this item, after the time it takes for this stuff to do its stuff, fire this comparator through this way and reset. And while that is happening, the item from earlier, from right there, will make its way all the way down here and refire this part and this part. It took a while to come up with this. I mean, there weren't that many options, right? So if I fire this now, hopefully the entire left half works. There we go. And then it should also do this. And the reason why this didn't work is what exactly? Oh. This is a comparator. Am I retarded? So, yeah, this does work indeed. I just, when demonstrating dark blue, accidentally broke that and replaced it with a fucking repeater. So, once again, if I fire this, you can see how the right side is completely messed up because we keep firing it at invalid states. So, yeah, that's the closing, and then that's the opening, and then this refires. And then once again, this last pulse can be mitigated should you get lucky and get these 2 hoppers specifically to age. But, if any of these ages, you're kind of fucked, so yeah. Unlikely. Again, in 1.15, none of these have ever aged on the server or here. And at 1.14, if I open the world, this one basically instantly breaks. And yeah. So let's mirror it, shall we? Once again, just... You will not but update. There we go. So, yeah, let's rush through this really quickly. The old piston extender with redstone blocks, right? We have our thing right here with a 2-tick and another 2-tick, and then a block thing, and then that piston. Remember, these are actually 2 droppers for dark blue, with an item in the one under the 2-tick, and then we have our dark blue block reading that out into our magenta circuit. Again, sorry for that one. I don't know what's going on. 1-tick, a 2-tick, and then a comparator. And then a block of this is obviously dropper hopper for light blue. So light blue is back here with a slab, 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 slab. One tick, and that one tick gets powered by this 4 tick, and that 4 tick gets powered by this comparator and this comparator. And yeah, we still have these, but like orange real quickly, right? We have a 4 tick coming out of this into dust block, and then 2 1 ticks dust. This block gets pushed down by this piston to prevent the 1 pulse from coming through. And now we go to brown. So let's start with the trench. So we have our dropper right here. We have our hoppers right here, avoiding the burnout and avoiding the air block this piston needs. Once again, I mentioned that last time, but furnaces over hoppers only suck the output item from the furnace, so this is completely harmless to it, unless you, for some reason, want to put the full stack right here. In this case, what the fuck is wrong with you? Cooking stuff in a redstone contraption. Replace that, replace these, and yeah. Block, thing, another dropper, and then another hopper, and then another, and then a dropper, which can be anything really, but droppers are the cheapest. And then this item comes all the way from here, gets red there, and then here makes this turn to behind this. There we go. And then actually we still break that and that. Because this is a dropper facing this way, this is a dropper facing that way, and then we can replace all of these, I guess. And then this item comes from here, because this dropper pushes it into there, which pushes this dropper into there, and then this item just circles around into it. So we have an item in the bottom one. We have a full dropper right here. We have a single item in this dropper, and then we have a single item in this dropper. And this also got redesigned like 8 times. And then last but not least, we read this into here, and also like we crossroad right here. So yeah, you can see it's kind of fast to build if you like know how to build it, because it's quote-unquote not that complicated. I mean, it's really just you have a block, and on that block is definitely a repeater, a comparator, or a dust, because every single block in here is either in the ceiling or has stuff on it, right? Because it's 3 space, you need to use everything you have. And yeah, this should work now if everything is intact down here. Yes. And then let's look at it from below, maybe. And there we go. That is how you build this thing. And it's been an hour and 20 minutes, and I skipped over detail, believe it or not, so I could tell you even more about this. Why is this async? God, why is this async? I mean, as you can see, it doesn't matter, but I still want to know why it's async. So interesting. These comparators, I looked at these comparators specifically, actually do turn off and on in sync. So what's happening here is probably this these hoppers being aged. So if we just replace these. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, if we just replace these and then fix that part. now we got here. Oh, I did this right. Oh, hold on. This is weird. Why did this piston in particular update? The fuck? There we go. So if we fire this now, hopefully if I remember to place that back. So the important part is that these pistons turn off simultaneously. There we go, you can see now it's in sync. So one of those hopper timer actually aged while we were recording, so I'm glad we got that on camera. So if that happens to one of these pistons, hoppers, you are gonna run into some trouble. And if it happens with these two, it's actually beneficial because it skips it actually makes the opening and closing faster. The opening. And yeah, so the back part, especially with this dark blue, is really sensitive to it, so if these don't open simultaneously, this will break. The thing about that is these hoppers will, it's really just this one hopper. This will, it's timed in a way that if this one ages, it doesn't matter. And if, so the closing doesn't matter, and then on the opening, should this part break, so you will be left with this. If you're left with this, then on the side where the block didn't retract, go ahead and break and replace all of these hoppers. So you'd go ahead and break all of these and then place them like so. Because then one of these was too fast. And yeah, that would fix that. And then if this thing fails, so one of these is like so. If one of these is like so, you go to that side and then you break basically this entire chain till here. These ones don't matter. So you start replacing this like so, make sure this one goes a corner, and then this should be fixed. And then as you saw right there in the tutorial like 2 minutes ago, if one of the sides breaks, it shouldn't break. It should just be asymmetrical, like you saw. You go to the slower side, so this one was extended for longer than that one was extended. You go to that side and then break and replace the hopper timer. Should this thing fail on the opening for some whatever reason, you have to do these two. And yeah, as I said, if these age, it's actually beneficial and you don't have to do anything. It's really nice for you, actually. And yeah, that's everything. Yeah, thank you for watching. This works now. I will try to get a cool shot of this for one last time. So /fill that one to this one with air. And that bot updated this, of course. So that actually happened in the showcase, and I didn't notice, and Lego fan didn't notice. So that was very extended during the circuit showcase. So one last time, if you look at this, it's just insane how this layout is even like possible. Because there is nothing like this on the world records plot. And I actually got into a discussion with Giga yesterday, and like, I don't want this to be beaten. Not because it's my world record, but because this is like special, you know? This is unlike anything else we have, and it would be sad if this gets like lost to history, overshadowed by a different level, but like by a quote-unquote normal 6x6 funnel. So I would be really sad if this gets beaten. And then again, not because it's my world record, but just because, look at this. This is cool. This is creative. This is innovative. Even if this was from someone else, I wouldn't like try to beat this. Because, oh my god. You saw how these couldn't grab because of the last cycle. Which I mentioned like, what, 40 minutes ago. Yeah. There's still so much stuff I want to talk about. Maybe I'll make a second video to this because like there's still so much to talk about. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope this was helpful, or I hope this explains all of this shit. Yeah, thank you for watching. And thank you again for League of Fan for coming back and editing this. And you know, the best thing after all of these is just to go /fill and then taking the screenshot for the thumbnail, which of course I could have done earlier, but I wasn't smart enough to do so. So yeah, there we go. Hey, quick update. I don't have the thing with the dots powering the tape anymore because I destroyed that apparently, but what I do have is this thing. So initially I was just gonna have, well, this was there was always gonna be a hopper timer here, but so we just generate this with a shovel in a full container, which also has snowballs in it to generate the signal strength you get here. And then I was gonna make sure that this comparator would read through this block and then like pulse this hopper timer. If I could, there are barriers on top of this, so with like a bunch of stupid items in it. So these would count really slowly up to 7, then this would go 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. So a 3 wouldn't actually pass this check. So yeah, this would give it a 4, allowing the clock to extend it all the way to over 3, and so the clock wouldn't keep itself on. And it was stupid, and you can see how much like room it killed. So this is actually one smaller on the left, but therefore only has one slice added at the back. This size would be probably the only one feasible. How the fuck do you say that? Feasible to beat the design I just showed you, or I am showing you right now. But yeah, as you can see, there is complications because this still doesn't have the clock for the actual tape in it, so you would need to get that from back here somewhere, and you just have no room.